Well, coronavirus is sweeping the world and it has finally affected me because I did not get to go to Switzerland to the Geneva Motor Show because it was canceled. And there were so many cool cars that I wanted to see. But hey, that doesn't mean that I can't bring them to you right here, even though I did not get to see them with my own two eyes. Now, the first up is the Bentley Bakalar. Yep, Bentley is going old school with a new custom coach-built Bakalar. And this thing, y'all, I don't know. It's based off the EXP 100 GT concept car that the company released last year to celebrate its 100th birthday. This two-door drophead is not what I would call subtle. I mean, I really like it in profile, but that front end? I mean, I guess I'm lucky I don't have the $1.5 million to just get started on this coach-built GT because, you know, it's gonna be a lot more once you actually start customizing it. Under the hood is a 6-liter W12 engine pushing out 650 horsepower and 667 pound-feet of torque. Though the rear track is a bit wider, the rest of the car, mechanically at least, shares the underpinnings of the Continental GTC. The rest of it? Yeah, not so much. I mean, there's leather piping this and artisanal piping that, but my favorite, and I'm quoting from the press release here with a really bad British accent, rare copper-infused riverwood that forms the wraparound dashboard is a sustainable wood from naturally fallen trees that has been preserved for 5,000 years in peat bogs, lakes, and rivers found in the fenland of East Anglia, England. Okay, whatever, Bentley. Well, if you want one, you better act fast, as Bentley will only produce 12 of the Bakalar. Now, this was a really cool concept from Hyundai. Now, last year at the Frankfurt Motor Show, Hyundai showed off its EV concept called the 45. That one was full of hard angles and sharp creases, but it's going the opposite way for 2020 with this Prophecy concept. It's directly in line with Hyundai's sensuous sportiness design aesthetic, and even though I can't say that without laughing, I mean, it really works here with the Prophecy. We've got a long wheelbase and short overhangs, and those are accentuated by just curves, and more curves. And this is one car that I really wish I could have seen in person. I'm sure that the light reflects off those curves in some really interesting ways. There are two design elements here that I really dig. There's a clear spoiler in the back and the pixelated lighting, which Hyundai says will eventually migrate to actual future models, so yay! Suicide doors open up to reveal plaid seats, and I have never met a plaid I didn't like. And inside you'll find joysticks in place of a steering wheel, because, you know, it's a concept and they do weird stuff like that. And there are more screens than you can shake a stick at. Now, we don't know much about the Prophecy's EV powertrain or its level of autonomy, but really, like, who cares? This is a study in design, and y'all, the future seems to look pretty swoopy. Okay, the next one is totally cool. I love a good speedster. I'm talking about the Aston Martin V12 speedster. And in a show where there's all of these multi-million-dollar cars, here's a car that costs less than $1 million. Well, I mean, maybe. It starts at $950,000. It's a combination of past Astons like the DBS 59 and an FA-18 Hornet fighter jet. That's right, no roof, no windshield, and there's a twin-turbo 5.2-liter V12 under the hood, pumping out 700 horsepower and 555 pound-feet of torque. 60 miles per hour comes up in 3.5 seconds, and you've got a top speed of 186 miles an hour. So, you got no roof, you're probably gonna want a helmet. Well, don't worry, they come with the car, and they're housed in these nifty compartments in the fairings behind each seat. The body is all carbon fiber all the time, and while it shares much of the design as the standard Vantage, the front fascia gets a larger grille and intakes, while the rear has a new diffuser and center exhaust. In the inside, you'll find driver and passenger separated by a spine running between the two seats. It's like, this is my driving space, that's your riding space, and ne'er the twain shall meet. The carbon fiber theme extends into the inside, but there's also plenty of red contrasting elements and a number of FA-18 silhouette decals. But remember, folks, it will not fly. The V12 Speedster is limited to 88 units and should begin deliveries early next year. All right, Bugatti is always good for an upgrade, and here we've got the Bugatti Chiron Pure Sport. So how would you like a car with 4 turbos, 8 liters of displacement, 16 cylinders, 1,500 horsepower, and 1,180 pound-feet of torque? Yeah, me too. But we can make all of our dreams come true with the Bugatti Chiron Pure Sport. This is a Bugatti made for the corners. I mean, yeah, they already did that with the Devo in 2018, but That thing sold out in nanoseconds, even with its $6 million price tag. $6 million. Like, who has that kind of money? The Pure Sport, however, it's gonna go for a measly $3.3 million. So, we can afford it, no problem. Now, what makes the Pure Sport so sticky in the corners? Well, I am glad that you asked. Michelin developed the new Bugatti Sport Cup 2R tires to produce a super sticky compound, producing 10% more lateral acceleration. Plus, there's stiffer springs, front and rear, adaptive damping, more negative camber, a lower ride height, and all kinds of downforce. I mean, just look at that wing in the back. Power gets down to the pavement through a 7-speed gearbox, and 80% of that gearbox is new, resulting in gears that are 15% closer together. So this thing should absolutely rip through those gears. Oh, and one more thing, this is really cool. In addition to its EB, motorway, handling, and sport drive modes, the Pure Sport gets a Sport Plus mode. And that dials down that traction control on dry roads significantly, which can only mean one thing. That's right, drifting! Yeah, buddy! Now, production starts in the second half of 2020, and there will be only 60 Pure Sports made, so you better act quickly, my friends. Now, our next vehicle here is just a little bit more attainable. I'm talking about the Porsche 911 Turbo S. Now, Porsche is keeping the next 992 generation 911 Turbo S pretty much the same in the looks department, but it's still giving it a little bit more hustle. I mean, not that it needed it, but come on, the 911 is the Porsche, and the company needs to continually improve on what essentially has been perfection. So, it takes the current 3.8-liter twin turbo flat 6-cylinder engine, adds a little bibs and bobs, and what you come out with is 640 horsepower and 590 pound-feet of torque. That's adding 60 and 37 respectively over the outgoing 911. The coupe goes from a standstill to 60 miles an hour in 2.6 seconds, while the convertible adds just 1/10 of a second to that time. Both have a top speed of 205 miles per hour. Other tweaks include a wider track, front and rear, with staggered tires and wheels to match, all-wheel drive, rear axle steering, and upgraded brakes. Those are all standard, but be sure to spring for the optional louder exhaust. And here's why. Because they need to hear you coming if you want them to see you leaving. Meow, meow, meow. Am I right? Of course I'm right. But of course, it doesn't come cheaply. The 2021 911 Turbo S Coupe will start at just over $200,000, but that includes destination, whereas the Cabriolet variant will command right around $217,000. Okay, I never expected a 4-seat car from this next company, but Koenigsegg has actually built a family coupe. I mean, kind of. It's called the Jumeirah. It's a 4-seater with 3 electric motors mated to a 2-liter twin-turbo inline 3-cylinder engine. Whew. And it's called the Tiny Friendly Giant. It produces 1,700 horsepower. Now, I get the tiny part. It's really small. I get the giant part, big horsepower, but what about the friendly? Well, the Jumeirah can run on regular gas, E85 ethanol and other ethanol blends, or carbon-neutral methanol, so it's friendly to the environment. The Jumeirah should be able to go 31 miles on electricity only, but with all-wheel drive and all-wheel steering, I'd probably be putting my foot into it all the time, and I know you would do the same. But that doesn't mean that this is all race car all the time. There's plenty of comforts inside, like 8 cup holders. 8 cup holders in a hypercar. Plus, half of those are heated and half of those are cooled. So you can have your Diet Dr. Pepper and your Starbucks coffee, and it will be perfect. There's phone chargers scattered about, reading lights, Apple CarPlay, Wi-Fi, and 3-zone climate control. So see, you can take the kids to swim practice in a Koenigsegg. The company will build 300 of the Jumeirah, and while we don't have word on pricing, I'd expect it to be over $1 million. I mean, probably really far northward. Still, isn't your family worth it? Okay, this next car is probably the most controversial when it comes to design. I'm talking about the BMW i4 concept. Oh my God, what in the rabbity bucktooth beaver fresh hell is that? This BMW i4 EV concept, and you guys, BMW says this is 85% close of what we're gonna see when the car goes into production in 2021. I mean, that grille makes the face so ugly. I doubt even my mother could love it, and she loves me. But listen, at least it serves a purpose. After all, electric cars don't really need any grills, so here these black panels in the grills are called an intelligent surface, and all of the car's radars and sensors are all located here. So while it might be kind of uggo, it's at least functional. The concept really is a butterface because the rest of the car looks pretty darn good, especially in profile with its fastback roof, unique wheels, and there's a long dash to axle ratio. Even in the back with its reinterpretation of the rear diffuser, it all really works for me. The production i4 will make about 530 horsepower with an 80 kilowatt hour battery. Top speed will be 125 miles an hour with a 0 to 60 time of 4 seconds or so. It's not too shabby. Range should be 373 miles on the European WLTP testing cycle, but our EPA test is super strict, so expect that range to be quite a bit lower when it comes stateside. As for charging, if you can get to one of those fancy 150 kilowatt chargers, you should be able to get 80% of a full charge in 35 minutes. Now, not only does this i4 concept preview the actual i4, but it also previews the shape of the next 4 Series Grand Coupe, so like it or lump it, that grille is most likely here to stay.
Are you excited to drive it?
Huh? Am I excited to drive it? No, because it's ugly. And our final car on the list is one of my favorite supercar brands. I'm talking about McLaren. And when I win the lottery, I am going straight to the McLaren dealership and I'm buying this car, the 765 LT. This longtail is based off the already superb 720S with its 4-liter twin-turbo V8 scrapping out 765 metric horsepower, it's about 755 of mechanical horses, and 590 pound-feet of torque. All of this with a curb weight of just 2,709 pounds. 0 to 60 comes in 2.7 seconds and a quarter mile in about 10 seconds. I mean, holy crap! This thing will kill you before it even eats breakfast. 7-speed dual clutch gearbox has been revamped to give it a 15% improvement from throttle response, according to McLaren, and a wider and lower front keeps things well planted. Springs and dampers have been improved and the aero is out of control. There's a larger rear wing and aggressive rear bumper, diffuser, and side skirts. The front bumper and splitter, those have been changed, of course, but so has the front floor. Now inside, you're not gonna find a radio or air conditioning. Heck, you're not even gonna find carpets. But that's because this mid-engine rear-wheel drive rocket is essentially a street-legal race car, and I am here for it. No word on pricing yet, but McLaren will only build 765 units, so looks like I need to get out and buy some lottery tickets right now. If you want to learn more about the debuts that we missed at the Geneva Motor Show, be sure to go on over to theroadshow.com. And hey, while you're here on the YouTubes, let me know in the comments. So we've got the British McLaren 765 LT and let's say the American new Corvette C8. Which one would win in a fight? Let me know in the comments, and as always, be sure to like and subscribe.